Hello friends, we're back. It's been about a week and a half. We are checking on our earthenware bag, seeing how it's doing. Before we even get too far into this, I've decided that it's been far too long since they got another feeding from us, and I know we're having fly problems, and I know we're having, early worm bag stages, but I have another one of these small containers of food, frozen, same size as what they got their first feeding, that we're going to give them. But I think what we're going to do this time differently is not wrap them as thoroughly as we did before. We used a couple sheets of not wrapping paper, but like moving paper, blank, I guess, newspaper type print stuff. And we packaged it really well. But this time I'm going to use this just packing paper that we got from a recent delivery that is going to loosely be able to wrap things up and disperse the cold, because obviously this is frozen. We don't want to bring their temperature down too much, so it'll help manage the cold, it'll help manage the moisture a little bit, but we need to get them excited about eating and food and stuff before it starts getting cold out here. So they're gonna get another feeding, and we'll see what happens. We're out here in the garage still. It's been really nice out, so I'm not super worried about their temperatures from a overheating point of view, but I want to make sure the bin is processing food regularly, so that way when it gets cold out here and we get first frost in a month or two, we're ready and we have a better idea of how much to feed them, because we know that they're going to start slowing down the cooler the temperatures get. So I want them to have a somewhat regular schedule before that happens. So this, if you guys missed it, these are in place just to help keep the flies at bay. I don't see anything flying out of us in our general direction, so I think that's a good sign. There's definitely very little bit of dampness noticeable on the paper. Obviously there's some mold in here, but look at this. Our thermometer does not have humidity on it this time, and it's coming in at 70 degrees, which is perfect for our red wigglers, Wormingtons. Oh wow, yes, you guys, we have worms. Okay, hold on, I'll show you, don't worry. Look at this. My worm mommy instincts were right. They're gonna need more food because they're all up here. Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't want to disrupt them too much, but it's very interesting. You can see here the coconut coir is very damp because that's where the food was, but then over here, you guys see that? It's quite dry. Oh yeah, this is way too dry over here. Way too dry. Okay, well, this is exciting news though, because I mean, we know at least in this area. Oh wow, look at that, like how dry that is. Colorado problems, but you know what, that's why we're learning. Okay, this is great, because I believe this container here is loosely what we had the food in last time. Yep. And there it is, what's left of that. I don't even see any worms in here, do you guys? Okay, well then here's what we'll do. We will throw this upside down, which is never probably preferred. You don't want to dump the food on the worms, but I think in this situation they'll be okay with it. Because what we'll do is I'm just gonna push that off to the side. I have a plan. Just so you guys can see, this is the frozen block of fruit, some zucchini, some bananas, some berry pits, and then I did put a peach pit in there because I know they don't technically really eat the pit because it's not breaking down, but they do seem to love playing in it. So we're just gonna loosely, I mean very loosely, kind of wrap this. And again, I'm doing this partially because we want it to be easier for them to get to till they get their population up and can burn through stuff quicker, but also we don't want to, because this is frozen, we don't want to like freeze them out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right next to where they were, but more closer to the front. Like sort of on an angle. So that way, because we know it's so dry right here where we were looking, we know that there's no worms over there. It's way too dry for them. So we're not going to impact anybody immediately. It'll drip and help kind of saturate that area. This does have a little bit of moisture to it, but not a ton. So we're gonna add more water, which is weird because I've never added water. I don't think I've ever really added water to a bin, certainly not this much. But we're not gonna just dump water in here. We are gonna be careful about it and help it disperse. So we're gonna redo what we did last time because it worked pretty well. And that involves layering back in the paper. This is the packing paper that I wrapped their original feeding in. And this is what we kind of layered up on top with to help keep the flies at bay a little bit. You know, nothing's foolproof. That way, we're gonna add water again. I've got a half gallon of water here. And we're gonna just slowly disperse down here. I'm mostly focusing on the edges because we can tell that the center section already has enough moisture to it, but the outside parts of the bin are what really need it. Now obviously the water is gonna go the path of the least resistance, but we can at least try and get it where we want. So the reason we're putting it on top of the paper is because gravity will pull the water down. I'm not worried about that. But this is going to help not drown any one section as the water makes its way through. It'll saturate some areas quicker than others, obviously, but we're just going to let it filter through the paper. Hopefully that'll get the water levels back up in the bin. It's an interesting dilemma we're in Florida. Keeping the bin drier was the goal. We wanted it to be dry because it was so hot and so humid there. And now we're in Colorado and it's so dry that we need to add the humidity in the water back in. So we're learning as we go. We're gonna get these guys, maybe let's check in on them in like a week or two, see how they're doing. I anticipate, because we saw that level of worm activity up top, that's a good sign. I'm glad they're there, because before, remember, we were looking and we couldn't find them anywhere, and I was worried they burrowed too far down. But here's hoping we'll find the sweets, fruits like strawberries. They love those things because of the sugar content in them. So here's hoping they'll find that, work their way over, and then in a week or two when we check in, we'll maybe see some more of our Wormingtons. But it's good to know that they're alive and they're probably okay. They're just waiting on me to fix the bin. So we'll check in on them, see how they do. I still have the drip catch underneath the urban worm bag, so in the off chance that some water makes it all the way through the bin and drips out the end, we'll know. But thus far we haven't had any, so maybe we just need to get on the schedule of regularly adding water. All right, friends. Well, I'm Alessandra. Thanks so much for checking in on our urban worm bag with me. It's still in its early stages, so I'm hoping this time next year we'll be rocking and rolling and checking in on them every week with big feedings like we did in Florida. If you want to see what that looks like, make sure you check out my playlist from Florida. You can see what I harvested after about a year or so of using my urban worm bag, and it is amazing. So I do hope you guys stick around as we get this urban worm bag up and running and back to its full vermicomposting potential. All right, friends, until next time, bye.